What if one secret project could bring an end to the deadliest war in history, but in doing so, unleashed a power so destructive it could annihilate humanity? This is the story of the Manhattan Project, one of the most ambitious, dangerous, and controversial undertakings in human history. A top-secret effort by the brightest minds of the 20th century to harness the power of the atom, forever altering the balance of power in the world. How did it all begin? And what were the consequences of this colossal achievement? Let's unravel the story of how science, war, and morality collided to change history forever. In the early 20th century, scientists made a groundbreaking discovery that would change everything. Atoms, once thought to be the smallest unit of matter, could be split. This revelation of nuclear fission led to the idea that atoms could release vast amounts of energy when split. The energy locked inside these tiny particles was unimaginable, yet the world was unaware of the potential danger and power they held. What seemed like an abstract theory would soon have profound consequences for human. As the world stood on the brink of war, Albert Einstein, a German-born scientist who had fled to the United States, saw a terrifying future. He understood the power of nuclear fission, and in 1939, he wrote a letter to President Franklin D. Roosevelt. In this urgent message, Einstein warned of the possibility that Nazi Germany could be developing an atomic bomb. His letter was a catalyst, prompting the US government to take immediate action, forming a secret project to harness the power of the atom before the enemy could. In response to Einstein's warning, President Roosevelt authorized the creation of the Manhattan Project in 1942. It was a massive, top-secret initiative that brought together the greatest scientific minds of the time, from physicists to engineers, tasked with building an atomic bomb. The stakes were immense. If the project succeeded, the United States would possess a weapon of unparalleled power. If it failed, Nazi Germany might win the race and dominate the world. This was a race against time, where failure meant the fate of the free world. At the heart of the Manhattan Project were brilliant scientists whose work shaped the future. Robert Oppenheimer, often called the father of the atomic bomb, led the project with determination and vision. Enrico Fermi, the architect of the first nuclear reactor, laid the foundation for harnessing atomic power. Leo Szilard, a physicist who first conceived the nuclear chain reaction, was instrumental in driving the project forward. Together, these minds worked tirelessly, driven by both hope and fear, the hope to end a devastating war and the fear of a world dominated by Nazi power. Creating the first atomic bomb was an enormous challenge, both scientifically and logistically. Scientists struggled to understand how to sustain a nuclear chain reaction, a process never before achieved on such a scale. The materials needed, uranium and plutonium, were rare and difficult to refine. The machinery required was groundbreaking, but prone to failure. Tensions ran high as setbacks threatened progress, yet the team's determination never wavered. Every problem solved brought them one step closer to their goal, but the pressure was immense, as the fate of the world seemed to rest on their success. The clock was ticking. As the Manhattan Project progressed, rumors swirled that Nazi Germany was working on its own atomic bomb. The thought of Hitler possessing such a weapon drove the urgency of the project. Intelligence reports suggested the Nazis were advancing their research, but the Allies couldn't be sure how close they were to success. This fear motivated the Manhattan Project scientists to push beyond their limits, often working around the clock. They knew that losing this race could mean catastrophic consequences for the world. What happens when humanity unlocks a power beyond imagination? On July 16, 1945, in the deserts of New Mexico, the world witnessed the birth of a force unlike any other, the Trinity Test. As dawn broke, a blinding flash lit up the sky, followed by a mushroom cloud rising to unprecedented heights. Witnesses were stunned by the sheer destructive power unleashed in that moment. Scientists stood in awe and fear, realizing they had created something that could end wars or end civilizations. It was a triumph of science, but also a terrifying glimpse into the future. What would this power mean for humanity? Imagine creating a world-changing weapon, but being unable to tell anyone. The success of the Trinity Test was a closely guarded secret, hidden even from many top military officials. Code words, secure communication, and covert operations ensured the project stayed in the shadows. While the world remained unaware, those involved knew they had crossed a threshold. Victory over Japan was now within reach, but at what cost? The weight of this secret pressed heavily on the shoulders of the scientists and leaders alike. Would the truth ever fully come to light? What would you do if your work could save lives but also destroy countless others? As the Manhattan Project progressed, many scientists wrestled with growing moral concerns. Was the pursuit of this weapon truly justified? Could such power ever be controlled? Some, like Robert Oppenheimer, quoted ancient texts saying, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." Others questioned whether the bomb should even be used. The triumph of the Trinity Test was bittersweet, as the team realized the cost of their success could be humanity's greatest burden. What responsibility comes with creating such power? And have we as a species truly learned from this moment? What leads to a decision that changes the course of history forever? In July 1945, President Harry Truman faced an impossible choice. With the war dragging on and Japan refusing to surrender, the Manhattan Project offered a devastating solution: atomic bombs. Military advisors argued that using these weapons could end the war quickly and save countless American lives. Yet others warned of the unimaginable consequences. Ultimately, the decision was made to unleash a power the world had never seen. But was it the right choice? History still debates this pivotal moment. On August 6, 1945, the first atomic bomb, Little Boy, was dropped on Hiroshima. The city was instantly consumed by fire, with over 70,000 people killed in a flash. 3 days later, Fat Man was dropped on Nagasaki, bringing even more destruction. Survivors faced unimaginable horror: burned landscapes, shattered buildings, and countless lives lost. But the devastation didn't end there. Radiation sickness, cancers, and lasting scars haunted the survivors for decades. These events marked a turning point in history, but at an unspeakable cost. How can humanity reconcile such a tragedy with the hope for peace? The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki sent shockwaves across the globe. While some celebrated the end of World War II, others were horrified by the scale of destruction. Allied leaders justified their actions as necessary to save lives, but critics questioned whether such power should ever have been used. Protests erupted, and the world began grappling with the ethical and moral consequences of nuclear weapons. The bombings not only ended a war, they sparked an arms race and changed international politics forever. What do these events teach us about the balance between power and responsibility? The Manhattan Project did more than end a world war. It birthed a new kind of conflict: the Cold War. The Soviet Union, alarmed by America's nuclear power, launched its own program, fueled by spies who leaked Manhattan Project secrets. In just 4 years, the world's first nuclear arms race began. Tensions soared as nations stockpiled weapons capable of global destruction. Could humanity survive this deadly competition for dominance? Or had the path to ruin already begun? The Manhattan Project forever changed global politics. By 1968, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty aimed to halt the spread of these devastating weapons. Yet nuclear powers only grew, with countries like China, India, and Pakistan joining the ranks. At its peak, the global arsenal reached over 70,000 warheads. These policies tried to manage the chaos, but can rules truly control such destructive power? Or is humanity still living under a ticking clock? The Manhattan Project's legacy forces us to confront a harsh truth. Humanity's greatest achievements can also be its greatest threats. Hiroshima and Nagasaki remain chilling reminders of the cost of unchecked power. Today, we stand at a critical crossroads. Will we use science to build a safer world, or will history repeat itself with even deadlier consequences? The choice is ours, but the lessons of the past must guide our future. The Manhattan Project was a pivotal moment in history, one that ended a war, sparked the Cold War, and forever altered the trajectory of humanity. From the brilliant minds behind it to the devastation it unleashed, its legacy is a mix of triumph and tragedy. But it leaves us with an enduring question. Was it a necessary evil to end the war, or could history have taken a different path? What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to explore more gripping stories that shaped our world, subscribe to the History Vault. Because history is never just about the past. It's about understanding the present and shaping the future.